The following is an exclusive presentation of Raycom Sports and Lincoln Financial Sports.
The 210-foot Duke Chapel towers over the West Campus. But tonight, all eyes are down the road on another symbol of Duke excellence, Cameron Indoor Stadium. Krzyzewskiville is standing room only as Blue Devil fans put on their game faces as the pursuit of some of the best seats in college basketball commences. This is a game that conjures up some of the great names in college basketball history. Tonight, two familiar foes will do battle again. But there'll be some new blood for this backyard brawl. Raycom and Lincoln Financial Sports present ACC basketball as number 5 North Carolina comes to Durham to take on number 16 Duke. The Cameron Crazies are ready. Are you? The tip-off of college basketball's most intense rivalry is coming up next.
ACC basketball is being brought to you by Pepsi, by Alltel, by Food Lion, by Geico, by Ford, by Chick-fil-A, by Advance Auto Parts, and by Bud Light.
Capacity at Cameron Indoor Stadium is 9,314. And you don't want to check eBay to see what ticket is worth what. Believe me, as you look at our Food Lion starting lineups, there are some changes. The Z-Man, Ryan Zubak, gets his first start since the Columbia game to open the season to match up against Hansbrough. Paulus, Henderson, Shire, McClure, Lawson, Ellington, Wright, and Terry for North Carolina. We passed the midway point of the regular season, but for many, it's never really underway until North Carolina and Duke play for the first time. We're underway. Tim Brando, Billy Packer, happy to have you with us.
Good job by Schreier, jumping right in on that jump.
Gerald Henderson drives into the lane, past Terry, rejected by Terry. Lawson clears for North Carolina. A pull-up for Ellington. McClure lost it out of bounds. It'll be controlled to North Carolina underneath their own hoop.
You know, I've seen Hansbrough come out ready to play, but I don't think I've ever seen him in the introduction to starting lineups. He came out like Urlacher. I mean, he's knocking guys down. I'll be anxious to see how he starts rebounding in this game. He is really fired up.
We should note that this is the first time in 23 games that DeMarcus Nelson and Josh McRoberts have not started. That's an offensive foul against Ty Lawson.
Critical matchup there. Paulus stopped Lawson penetrating, coming off on the wing. That's really important for Duke. Paulus has got to stay in front of him because Lawson has that quickness to turn the corner and then open up things inside.
I should mention that in talking with Mike Krzyzewski before the game, Brian Zubak has improved in practice. He's gotten stronger, particularly in his lower body as Paulus opens the game with a triple. He had a big game against Florida State in a losing effort on Sunday afternoon. Hansbrough the turnaround over Zubak.
Nice job by Zubak getting a hand in the way. Another nice job.
Right.
Is that Terry on the floor?
Yes, it is. Rayshawn Terry. Injured. In that rebound situation, he must have come down the wrong way.
Zubak doing a pretty nice job on Hansbrough's first attempt.
Oh, did he ever?
He came down hard, right on the spine.
Right on the lower back. Over the top of McClure, he got tied up.
One thing, Tim, if you get hurt at North Carolina, you better get up quick, because the guy ready to replace you may play the minutes that you'd like to have.
Let's take a look, Billy, at your forward keys to the game.
Well, we talk about one thing, and I've seen so far in this ball game, North Carolina's been able to do it. They're pushing the ball up the floor. Number 1 scoring team in the league. Duke is number 11th in scoring, so you know what North Carolina wants to do. Establish a go-to guy. Well, let me think of some. Johnny Dawkins, Christian Laettner, Grant Hill, J.J. Redick. Well, tonight we have McClure and Zubak.
Yeah, and
where is that go-to guy?
Henderson.
Is it Henderson?
It could be.
Well, McRoberts and Nelson are not starting.
And you'd say that those two would probably be candidates.
Absolutely.
See the early shooting, Duke 2 out of 3. Ellington, nice find of Lawson.
Wallace lost his man.
McClure is another one of those athletic players. Paulus finds him right on the wing. There's Paulus again. He started warm, 5 for 5 to open the game with Florida State, and he hits his first 2 here.
Last year, Paulus led the ACC in assist turnover ratio, which was tremendous for a freshman. He did not show that he had the outside shot. Of late, particularly in the last 2-3 weeks, he's been hitting the outside shot as well as anybody in the conference.
Andy Green with that last hoop for North Carolina. There's the guy that I believe can become the go-to guy in the future, John Shire. 10-4 Duke.
I'm sure that North Carolina is a little bit surprised. I'm not talking about the coaching staff, but the team expected this to be a slow-down game. So far, Duke has taken right to it. And what North Carolina has not done is getting to the man defensively. Been a lot of wide-open shots early on.
Early conversation around Tobacco Road had indicated that there could be a possibility of a blowout here. You can bet psychologically with the modern-day internet athlete, Coach K used that as bulletin board material to get his team mentally prepared. Green the tip in, and it's 10-6 Duke.
Second nice defensive possession that time by Zobek. Stayed right with Hansbrough.
He hits the weight room 4 times weekly, 4 days weekly, and really has gotten much stronger, and it's beginning to show up in games. He did give quality minutes against Florida State on Sunday. There's Henderson all over again.
There have been about 5 jumpers by Duke so far in this ball game where they have been completely uncontested.
Reminds us a bit of the North Carolina State open shots as Zubek gets a reject.
That's his 4th defensive play so far in this ball game.
Sets the high pick for Paulus.
How content will Roy Williams be the way his team's playing defense before he starts substituting?
Zubek muscling Hansbrough down low. Finds Henderson again. This time it doesn't fall. Ellington clears. Looking to motor, pedal to the metal. And that time, the block is going to be picked up, undercut by Gerald Henderson. He'll get the blocking call. Checked a couple of other ACC scores. Yes, there are other games besides North Carolina Duke, believe it or not. Boston College remains hot, beating Miami, and Clemson with 4:50 remaining, trying to get off the schneid after that 17-0 start. Oliver Purnell's team had only won 1 in its last 6 outings. Coming into tonight, DeMarcus Nelson is checked into the game for the Devils, along with Josh McRoberts.
And McRoberts Thompson, bad pass.
Oh boy, look at this. Shire a solo. North Carolina on their heels here in the first 4 minutes.
One thing I will say, Tim, this is a game, though, whose pace favors North Carolina. I realize they're behind, but Duke has set the standard as how the game will be played. This is played at the pace North Carolina likes.
Offensive foul. Timeout. The Cameron Crazies have found more than just one go-to guy here in the opening moments.
He's got one free throw to ice it. It's up. It is no good. Harsh rebounds to Capel with 2 seconds. Capel lets fly. It's goal. And holy cow, we got double overtime.
North Carolina would go on to win that game in double OT, Billy. They had outstanding talent, and I think you would admit Pete Cadet was having to coach. That's the year Mike Krzyzewski fell ill, and that was a team that had inferior talent coming in that pushed the Tar Heels into double overtime before losing.
Well, I'll tell you how much these two teams don't agree with each other. North Carolina considers those 2 losses that year that Duke had against Krzyzewski. Duke considers those 2 losses against Gaudet.
That's right.
So even in their statistical analysis, the 2 schools do not agree what coach actually had the losses or the wins.
Mike McRoberts did pick up the foul for the moving pick. Bobby Fraser in after the timeout, along with Deion Thompson, Alex Stevenson, wholesale substitutions. It's like a bus stop in Chapel Hill Roy Williams will go very, very deep and try to use fresh legs to beat everyone, including the Blue Devils of Duke here tonight.
In the great win that North Carolina had here last year in J.J. Redick's final game, Frazier had an outstanding game, 10 points, 5 assists. It's good to see the young man healthy and out playing again.
Ellington makes it a 15-8 Blue Devils lead. Here's Shire looking for Nelson. Roberts set for the pick and pop.
Defense a little bit more intense now by North Carolina.
It is. Ellington feeds Frazier on the wing. Back to Ellington. Right over to Marcus Nelson, and it's 15-10. 4 in the game for Ellington.
Yeah, Duke is a team, as I said, last in the ACC in scoring. If they were to keep the same pace they had for the first 5 minutes, they'd score 120 in the game.
It is a bit of a dilemma, though, isn't it, Billy? Because they're going to get open looks because of the pressure. There's Nelson. When do you, as Duke wants to control tempo, let your foot off that pedal so that you can control the game's tempo?
It's very difficult within a game to do that, both as a coach and with the players on the floor.
I asked Mike Krzyzewski about it earlier, and he said, well, if they're trapping and we get open looks, we've got to take them. That's what North Carolina State did in Raleigh over the weekend, and it certainly made a difference. Fells and Gavin Grant and all of those guys were pretty warm that day. There's an air ball by Ellington.
And there they are, going long again to strike. North Carolina doing a terrible job picking up defensively.
Shire unable to connect.
Stevenson and Thompson out there. The young men did an incredible job in the Arizona ball game. Both in double figures, 14 and 10. Great in rebounding.
Nelson reaches in, takes it away from Stevenson, and we've got a tie ball. And the arrow is to North Carolina. Take a look at our Chick-fil-A nuggets of the game, and you see most points games as a freshman. Well, those Duke teams were outstanding early on. North Carolina, of course, a year ago. You think of Johnny Dawkins and those Georgia Tech teams that Bobby Crimmins had to really get it going with Mark Price and company. The other freshman congregation that was very effective.
Well, of course, that Duke club with Dawkins, that was Mike Krzyzewski's turnaround recruiting class.
Sure was. Ellington.
Lawson, terrific drive as he turned the corner.
Lawson gets the deuce, and it's 17-12.
North Carolina in those 4 games, they just ripped up their opponents, ACC and outside, including Arizona. Held opponents under 40% shooting. Then all of a sudden, NC State came along at 67%. Tonight at the start of this game, North Carolina looked more like the team that played NC State defensively.
You're right. Lawson a pull-up. That's deflected by McClure.
That shows you a little bit. McRoberts against Lawson, he beats him off the dribble.
And here you see the example of how he can be a solid point forward. Look at Duke shooting. They are scintillating early. 8 out of 11 from the floor. And that's a palming call against McRoberts, a point of emphasis this year. I think he got caught either attempting to pass the ball or dribbling.
Yeah, I don't think that was a palming call at all. You had a defensive play in there on a pass. I think Mike Krzyzewski's all over that.
Our officials tonight, Ted Valentine, Gary Maxwell, and Reggie Greenwood. Lawson feeds Green. The iron unkind, pulled down by McClure.
Ill-advised shot, nobody ready to rebound.
Roberts to the backdoor cut. Nelson.
Duke is taking it to North Carolina like I have not seen in years, and I'm absolutely flabbergasted at North Carolina's lack of defensive intensity early in this ball game. Maybe the players have been reading too many clippings of how Duke can't score, and this game was going to be slow pace.
Listening to too many talk shows as well, perhaps. Hansbrough with a tie ball, arrowed this time to the Blue Devils.
Well, Urlacher found himself triple teamed, didn't he?
Yes, he did. And
look at the blood coming from the head.
Brings back memories of Eric Montross back in the day, although the blood was below the eye on Dick Eric back in the day. And we'll return after this message from Duke University. 21-12 Duke over North Carolina. Tim Brando, Billy Backer here on Raycom and Lincoln Financial Sports. Blue Devils 9 out of 12 from the floor early, and look at that against NC State. Tar Heels gave up quite a lot that day.
Yeah, it's NC State for the game shot 60.5, but in the second half, they shot 76% against North Carolina.
And look at this so far against the Blue Devils. Very similar.
You know, one of the things, though, Tim, we've watched a lot of basketball this year, and what we've seen is tempo changes in a game. Last night, Georgia Tech, NC State. State had it going completely their way, and then they get in a 0 to 18 run when the game picks up.
A three-quarter court shot by Crittenden didn't hurt.
The foul, no call. Zubek again, though, being a factor inside.
Henderson tries to save it to Paulus. Zubek and Terry hit the deck. Hansgrove quickly in there to try to separate them. A little bit of whooping going on down there, too.
That big freshman's doing the job.
Yes, he is. Officials very wisely separate Blue Heaven and Deep Blue here at Cameron Indoor. The difference in the game early on, the threes for Duke. They lead by 9. Paulus with 1. Shire with 1.
In the first 4 or 5 minutes, Duke getting wide open. There's a perfect example. Wide open looks from 3. North Carolina's defense not intense at all, and probably not anticipating that Duke would be looking for shots early in the shot clock situation. You know, that lax mix-up down there reminded me back in the early 60s. Art Heyman and Larry Brown, guys that knew each other from high school, got in a little fisticuff here. Took 10 policemen to break that baby up for about 20 minutes. They were fighting. So it's nice to see the game under much better control now than it was in the 60s.
Zubek turned it over. You think about the starting of Zubek. Mike Krzyzewski clearly wanted to put a body on Hansbrough. Not only has Zubek bodied him up, but just about everyone else has.
Well, Zubek has really been playing it straight, doing a fine job in there.
Ginyard got McClure airborne to pick up the personal foul. First on McClure.
One of the things that has given Duke a lot of problems this year are guys turning the corner on their defense with quickness. We saw it in the Marquette game, would be a perfect example. The Florida State game just the other day. Their guards and wing players able to put the ball on the floor with or without a screen, turn the corner as Ginyard did there, and get to the basket.
That really is one, I think, the issue with Duke a bit, Billy, is that this is not a team as Shire replaces Nelson and McRoberts comes back into the game. At least for the moment, there are very few Duke players that can create their own shot. And that's one of the reasons why in close games, they've had some issues finishing those games.
That was interesting on that foul shot. Both McRobertson on the inside and the other position, McClure, had moved the North Carolina player way above the position he's entitled to on the line. Duke players being much more aggressive.
Blue Devils by 7. 8.5 gone here at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Roberts gets Psycho T away from the basket. Hansbrough being forced to get away.
Putting some body on each other. Great backdoor cut.
McClure rejected. Wright got a piece of it. High off the window and pulled down by Terry.
And probably a guy like Wright, the only one that could stop a play like that.
Oh, look at him run the floor.
You know,
about that?
2 great plays on his part that only a guy with his reach could pull off. He got beat badly defensively, but the long arm saved him, and that catch he picked out of the air.
When you start talking about outstanding freshmen, Paulus unable to connect. Henderson follows. There's Terry again collecting the rebound. There are so many with North Carolina, it's hard to pick one. Terry
going nowhere.
Lost it. Shire with numbers. 3-on-1 to Paulus.
He got fouled on the play, no call.
Henderson.
Another foul.
Yes, and a foul. A bit of a break that the foul came when it did, because now it can be an old-fashioned three-point play.
You see the foul right there, no question. Paulus gets hit on the arm. Then another foul on this, but you're right, Tim. Got an extra chance for 1 extra point.
First on Ellington.
One thing you don't like to do as a player is when the game is over and you look in the mirror and you say the other guy came to play harder than I did.
Yeah.
And that's what the North Carolina players would have to say if this game ended right at this point.
Lawson gives it up to Terry. Henderson has 8 points right now, and Terry hits one right over him. 24-19.
But when you look up at the clock, wouldn't you think that Duke is ahead by more points?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just a 5-point game. Duke playing wide open game without a real postman, so the backdoor cuts are available.
Terry gets the rebound. He already has 4.
Had 8 rebounds in the game here last year. Nice touch.
Hansbrough, just like that, a 3-point game. Timeout. 9:39 remaining. And timeout on the floor, and as the teams discuss strategy, Billy, you should too. Get someone to talk with you tonight after you talk to Chuck, Charles Schwab. So obviously North Carolina's back in the flow, the way they like to play the game.
Yeah, and I really think that if you look at it, Tim, from a statistical standpoint, and particularly who these teams have played as common opponents, the pace of this game favors North Carolina. I realize they were way behind early on, but right now they find themselves just down 3, but it's their kind of basketball game. Very good dish by Terry that time. Turned the corner, and instead of trying to go all the way, pulled up. Under control.
The last time these two teams faced off after Duke had lost 2 consecutive games was way back in 1989. Now, they both came off a loss in 03. In that 89 season, you might recall, Duke wound up winning by 2 in a game played at Carolina. You see the numbers on Hansbrough. Point being, this is already an intense rivalry. Imagine both teams feel they really need it. This is a game at the point on the calendar where they really need W's.
Hey, when they're looking up at the schedule, too, and you look at Virginia, they're in first place right now with probably the easiest schedule yet to play.
5 of Duke's next 7 games are going to be on the road. And they've lost 2 in a row. Paulus falling away. 7 for the youngster from Christian Brothers Academy.
Lawson lost his man. There again, turning that corner very easily. Good block out by McRoberts.
That was almost a clothesline of Hansbrough with that block out.
Now the official is talking to Hansbrough about the body checking and the hand check. Both of these officials doing a pretty good job. They want both of these kids to have the opportunity to play this game.
You see Reggie Greenwood with that clothesline maneuver?
That was some really fine officiating by 2 officials there.
Thompson's back on the floor for the Tar Heels, 21. Lawson, Terry, Hansbrough, and Ellington, the 5 on the deck for North Carolina. And we'll have a couple of substitutions after the blocking foul against Danny Green. Fraser and Miller are looking to come in for the first time. We take a look at our Chevrolet Stars of the Week in conference play. Jared Dudley, I think he may be the best player in the conference, and Brandon Costner of North Carolina State. For more information, go to lfsports.com.
The problem with Dudley, he just doesn't play enough minutes. He's only playing about 39 minutes a game.
Even after the loss of Sean Williams, you really understand the value of Jared Dudley, given how they've played since they lost that outstanding shot blocker for the rest of the year.
Well, you know, you look at Dudley, you look at Al Thornton, you look at Singletary. It might be 1, 2, 3 in terms of, along with Hansbrough, best players in the league.
Shire, not this time. Lance Thomas is rejected. Pulled down by Fraser. Tim Brando, Billy Packer here at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Happy to have you with us. And you see the rejection story. There have been plenty, a number of deflections by both teams. Very active, getting into the passing lanes. And if you get close to the 10, more than likely your hand will be in front of you. Paulus picked up the foul, his first. Green on a blow-by against Paulus.
Didn't concentrate on the finish.
And a technical.
Grabbing the rim. Let's see what he called that. I believe it is going to be grabbing the rim.
On the putback.
Watch this, how Green does not look and continue with his finish.
Yeah, Thompson. Deion Thompson held the rim.
Grab the rim. You know, technical fouls. I got to think about something the other day. Leonard Hamilton got one here, right?
Yes, he did.
Now, let me ask you a question. Did he win the game?
Yes, he did.
Do you remember a guy named Seth Greenberg? Did he get one here?
Right.
Did he win the game?
Yeah, and usually after you get thrown out.
Wait, Gary Williams. Did he get one here? Did he finally win the game?
Yes, he did.
You know what's amazing? If you're a rookie coach, and you're coming in the ACC for the first time you play a Duke, get a technical foul. And it's been pretty good luck.
Yeah, and especially if you get thrown out of the game preceding
there you go.
the game you win.
There you go.
Get a technical, get a second, get a jet.
No, I'm not.
Come back.
I'm not saying that's good sportsmanship, but gosh almighty,
it's
been amazing, huh?
Yeah, there has been a trend. And the Blue Devils have cooled.
They've cooled, but they're maintaining that nice lead, 5 to 7 to 9 points.
Really doing it with their defense, which of course is really the foundation of the program under Mike Krzyzewski. He's 3 national championships. Nelson finds Shire. That's his spot on the floor. This time halfway down the cylinder and out. Miller talking about liking perimeter shots.
I've never had the ball seated in his hands.
Nelson, the long rebound. 2-on-2 against Miller. That's a mismatch. Gives it up to Paulus.
Wow.
Nice look inside. Nelson, though, has Hansbrough right there in front of him. Paulus pops.
You know, I think that Duke is playing a little bit too frenetically right now, Tim. I realize they have the lead, and you made a good point earlier on. When as a team, can you slow the pace down a little bit to play more your normal game? That would have been a good possession for Duke to do that.
It really is a tough call. And you can be an incredibly well-coached team and still make mistakes in that regard. The concessionaires are going to make a lot of money tonight. Duke by 7. The fans make this game the great game that it is. And boy, the players that they've been able to witness through the years makes it a little more enjoyable. The last couple of home games, J.J. Redick this past Sunday, Sheldon Williams the Sunday before that had their jerseys retired, number 12 and number 13 all time. And of course, Felton, McCants, and May over in Chapel Hill were honored in a similar fashion by North Carolina. There's Hansbrough in the passing lane to take it away. Lawson has Miller on the floor along with Wright and Marcus Ginyard, along with Hansbrough, the 5 on the floor for the Tar Heels. Zubek again, got a tie ball.
Hey, he has played a terrific first half. I realize he's not going to show up big in the stats, but he's played quality minutes on defense. Hansbrough beats him, and it wasn't Zubek's fault. That was a bad pass on the inside.
Move over G-Man. We've got the Z-Man playing for Duke and playing well on the defensive end. Marcus Ginyard. Zubek the rebound. Shire, along with DeMarcus Nelson, Henderson, McClure, and Zubek, the 5 on the floor for Duke. That's a walk. That's the second time he's been whistled trying to make a move against Hansbrough.
Yeah, one thing you ought to realize, Hansbrough is a guy that not only gives you the body, but he's got pretty good, strong footwork. So don't try to do too much against him offensively. Not if you're a freshman that hasn't had the playing time.
Roberts checking back in for him. And at least when Zubek's on the floor, you do have a pure post player, back to the basket guy, as Hansbrough gets a little shooter's touch.
One of the things Duke is doing right now, their post guy is staying right in the lane. I'm gonna check this next time down the floor and see if that's really not a defense that's not straight man-to-man.
Shire challenging Brandon Wright. And Wright picks up the foul. They want him to become more aggressive, Billy. He's certainly got a tremendous all-floor game, but he's a very young talent. This deep into a season, a lot of times, freshmen that are getting a lot of minutes hit a bit of a wall. But the more aggressive he becomes, the better player he'll be.
Well, one of the things about this guy, he needs to work on his free throw shooting. That's what, 39 straight right there. So he's getting in the J.J. Redick category there as a free throw shooter.
To get to 38.
He's number 3 in the conference right now, shooting 88%.
Seems to to be more effective on the road than at home. 30-23, 9 in the game for Shire.
Look at where McRoberts is. He's playing all alone in the low post, not really guarding Hansbrough.
Lawson has 5, and it's 30-25 Blue Devils. 5.5 remaining here in the opening 20 minutes from Cameron Indoor Stadium. Shire pumps again. He is the next perimeter assassin on this campus. How long he'll be, we don't know, but the more he shoots, the better he's going to get.
McClure on Hansbrough now. Nice defensive job.
Then your tough pass to make in traffic. Out of bounds. It was kicked out by Duke. 17 on the shot clock. Stevenson checks back into the game along with Ellington.
Now, North Carolina is deeper than Duke, but Duke playing the way they did tonight, with Zubek playing and McClure playing his minutes, they're plenty deep to go ahead and play at this pace. I don't know whether they can score enough to play at this pace.
Right. Well, it also keeps McRoberts out of foul difficulty, which against quality competition has been problematic.
Well, it's kept Wright completely out of the game tonight, with the exception of that great catch he made on the break. Seems like now maybe North Carolina needs to slow down a little bit to get their big guys in position.
Shire to Paulus, too strong. Brandon Wright clears for North Carolina. Stevenson trying to post up, but Ellington will take it. And that one barely drew iron.
Once again, the big guys never even getting an opportunity to touch the ball.
Students feel that it didn't draw iron. Chanting air ball.
Yeah, you hear that air ball? That air ball was called first here in a game between Duke and North Carolina, with Rich Yunkus threw up an air ball in a game that scored halftime was 7-0. And the term air ball was coined by the Duke fans.
Why did I know that you'd know that? Henderson. No one blocked out. 35-25, game's largest lead for the Devils.
North Carolina really out of sync offensively.
Right. That time McClure gambled and lost. Timeout. 3:41 remaining. Blue Devils lead by 8. As advertised, this rivalry always is. We'll be right back. Tim Brando, Billy Packer. We had this conversation early on. Go-to guy. Well, John Shire has been that so far, Billy.
He really has stepped up and done a terrific job. And there he is, uncontested.
Along with, of course, quartet. In fact, a half dozen of influential freshmen that you can see on the floor at any given time tonight. And Roy Williams absolutely in the face of his team during that last time.
Well, Roy Williams has been around the Duke and North Carolina matchups for many, many years. I know that he did not take for granted at all that Duke may come out here right after his club, but there's no question his team did. And now let's see whether they can adjust. Give Duke a lot of credit. They must have had some knockdown, drag-out practices, and we saw from that starting lineup change that Mike Krzyzewski meant all business.
Well, I've seen Duke play each of the last 2 times that they've come off 2 conference losses, against Wake Forest a couple of years ago with Chris Paul. That's when he came with Patrick Davidson and Patrick Johnson, got into the head of Chris Paul, and then at Miami after starting 0-2 this year. And the Blue Devils are always a little more motivated after consecutive losses in the league.
And coming out of that timeout, you can see exactly what Roy Williams wanted to do. Let's let our big guys get in the half-court game. Ball goes inside to Wright. When you have Wright and Hansbrough, you've got 2 really quality low-post talents. You've got to let them touch the ball some.
Lance Thomas picked up the foul, his first. And another loose ball.
And Duke played a little zone on that out of bounds. Playing much more aggressively on the defensive end.
Clemson did go ahead and get that victory against Florida State by 13, one that Oliver Purnell's team really needed. Paulus fouled as he takes Quentin Thomas to the rack. Let's take a look at our Haviland defensive shield. That's the Duke defense leading the ACC, Billy. And you go back to the 49-50 season, had a record 58 points per game allowed. And in this conference right now, 57.1.
That's pretty good. Of course, they're controlling the ball in the offensive end as they are in the bottom of the league in regard to scoring. So you had something that had to give in this game. North Carolina is #1 in scoring. Duke is #1 in defense. You know, I was kidding about that air ball chant. I said Richie Youngkis played for Georgia Tech. He was a great player. Yannicker was not a great player. Richie Yannicker. He was the guy that shot the air ball. I'll make that cleared up a little bit. But can you imagine a 7-0 Duke Carolina game at halftime?
Yeah. That was a different era. Wright falling away. Terry saves it right back to Brandon Wright.
Good things happen when the ball goes inside the quality post players.
So much talk about the youngsters for North Carolina. How about Rayshon Terry as a leader and a veteran on this club?
And a guy who's been selected by their team and coaching staff as the guy that's played the best defense this year for North Carolina. He's assigned to DeMarcus Nelson right now.
Thomas pops out. Gives it up. Nelson just absolutely lost the handle on the way up, and I think Terry had an impact.
Well, that ball might have got a little slippery right there. I think that ball just flipped right out of his hand.
This broadcast is a copyrighted presentation. Any use of it without the express permission of Raycom, Lincoln Financial Sports, and the ACC is prohibited. Tim Brando, Billy Packer, happy to have you with us. Quentin Thomas, nice crossover move against Paulus, but unable to convert.
But Wright did not fight for position. McRoberts had an easy defensive rebound.
Quentin Thomas had that stress fracture, cost him some time. And since getting back, it's been hard for Roy Williams not to give him more minutes. He has really turned his career around early this season since getting healthy.
Oh, nice steal by Terry. Yeah, he had 8 assists against Miami.
Yes, he did. And he has a nice one here to Terry. A beautiful pass in transition by Hugh. Right to Rayshon Terry, who has 6. 37-32. With the points off turnovers, almost a deadlock.
See, that's where Paulus has trouble. He cannot turn the corner on the dribble and beat his man. But even after a good screen try, or again wide open.
Not this time. Terry clears. Its closing couple of minutes could really serve North Carolina well if they can draw even or at least within a bucket by the break. McClure rejects Ellington.
Ellington impatient. Hansbrough had good position inside.
Because you think about it, Billy, as you said, all game long, it's been as though Duke had a double-digit lead. And North Carolina's carved into it quite a bit, only a 5-point deficit right now.
There you see Ellington going on the inside, right into traffic, 2-on-1. On the other side of the floor, had a good matchup right in Hansbrough, wide open in the low post. They don't get a touch.
Quentin Thomas got the foul, his second. DeMarcus Nelson looking to come in. And Paulus at the free throw line for the Blue Devils.
DeMarcus Nelson back in the lineup for the Blue Devils.
You know, last year, and just think about Paulus, #1 in the ACC with 187 assists, only had 118 turnovers. Not a great outside shooter, didn't even look for the outside shot. This year, changed completely.
There's nothing like college basketball, and if you're celebrating a win, do it right. The way you celebrate says a lot about you and reflects on your school. So be responsible, take care of yourself and your friends. A message from Anheuser-Busch.
Young man shooting 82% from the foul line. He's shooting 43% from 3. And I never thought you'd see him as a premier shooter in this league.
And think about it, he began practice with a broken foot. There was a great deal of concern about what Paulus would be able to produce when October rolled around and they began working out.
McClure on right, giving up about 3-4 inches.
Lawson gives it up to Ginyard, a runner. And Marcus converts. 16 ticks remaining in the half, a 5-point Duke lead.
And Duke ought to hold for 1, spread it out right here, and maybe get either a nice backdoor cut or an easy 3.
It's the curl by Shire.
Wow.
Right. Brings brings down the rebound, and we're at the break. Blue Devils led by as many as 10. Shire and Paulus, a real factor in the backcourt most of the way. Halftime activities coming up from Cameron Indoor Stadium, where the Devils lead the Heels by 5.
ACC basketball is being brought to you by Toyota, by Progress Energy, by Pontiac, by Chick-fil-A, by Gatorade, by Chevrolet, and by Ruby Tuesday. Ruby Tuesday presents the Play of the Week.
Going to the right side with 6 with 5. Singletary off the dribble, off the bounce, going inside. The running jump shot, he got it with 1 second to go.
And that's our Ruby Tuesday Play of the Week.
John Shire and Paulus combined for 25 of Duke's 39 points. A 7-2 run, though, by the Tar Heels leaves them only 5 down at the break against the Blue Devils here at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Tim Brando, happy to have you with us. Let's take a look now at our Bud Light scoreboard. A number of other key games taking place in the ACC. Clemson, a much-needed win over Florida State by 13. Boston College continues to roll against Miami. The Eagles, perhaps the best unranked team atop the ACC in a while. If you look at Florida, the #1 Gators beat Georgia. Arkansas struggling but holding on for the moment against Auburn in the second half over in the SEC. Kentucky leading by 10 over South Carolina, and Alabama's struggles continue against Mississippi State. It's a 2-point game late in the second, and Georgetown rolling against Louisville. They win that game going away, and Pittsburgh takes out West Virginia. They get UCLA this weekend. Wisconsin by 13 over Penn State in the Big Ten, and the Salukis up on Bradley early in the second half, 41-27. Our score at halftime: Duke leading North Carolina with as large a lead as 10 at one point in the first half. The underdog Devils under the chapel on a beautiful night at Cameron Indoor Stadium. We'll be back.
Today's Rejection of the Week is brought to you by Sonic.
Rejected! In Chapel Hill last week, Miami's Jack McClinton tried to drive the lane on North Carolina's Brandon Wright, but the Tar Heel freshman made the great block in our Sonic Rejection of the Week. Rejected!
Tomorrow night, the rivalry continues. The women go at it. #1 Duke at #2 North Carolina. Both teams 24-0, 8-0 in conference play. Carolina's Ivory Latta leading the way, and of course Duke's Abby Weiner averaging just under 15 a game. Duke's defense is outstanding. Should be a wonderful game as North Carolina meets Duke in women's basketball. And of course here, Duke leading 39-34 at halftime at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Take a look at Toyota's conference standings. There is Virginia again, along with Boston College, each at 8-2 and holding serve with BC's win tonight. North Carolina hanging with them in the loss column, pending the outcome of tonight's game. Virginia Tech, Seth Greenberg's club, just ahead of Duke. 25 years we've been at this here at Raycom and Lincoln Financial Sports. ACC basketball, a great one, and of course it all begins with this matchup, the most intense rivalry in all of college basketball.
This moment in ACC basketball history is presented by Geico. Sunday afternoon in Durham, Florida State defeated Duke 68-67. Al Thornton scored 21 points as the Seminoles won for the first time at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Congratulations to the Florida State Seminoles for marking their moment in ACC basketball history, which has been presented by Geico.
The crowd here at Cameron is obviously happy. Their beloved Blue Devils are up by 5. Tim Brando along with Billy Packer. Did you get a feel on how the Blue Devils must be at halftime, knowing that, yeah, they may be playing Carolina style, but they may be fresh or more fresh than they thought they'd be going into the second half?
Well, I don't think that they decided how they were going to play. I think this was a Mike Krzyzewski choice to push this ball up the floor. And what he got early in the ball game is a North Carolina team back on their heels defensively. Allowed Duke to get an awful lot of easy looks from the three-point line, and there they have a huge advantage. North Carolina did not go inside at all to their big guys. Here we have a situation. Lawson, 1 assist. Hansbrough, no rebounds. That's not North Carolina basketball.
You see the numbers. Duke, a team that doesn't get to the line as often this year as they have in past seasons, getting there more often tonight.
Yeah, both of these teams going to the line much more than their opponents, but as you see right there, Duke getting a much better advantage, and the reason for it, again, North Carolina not going to their inside power.
Will we have a finish similar to so many others, like the one in '96? Carolina down 1, 6 seconds left. Jeff McInnes the drive, but he misses. Dante Calabria there for the tip. Then Duke's Ricky Bryce tries for the win at the buzzer. It falls short. Carolina wins by 1. Devils led by as many as 17. Dean got away with 1 that night. We'll be back.
ACC basketball is brought to you by RBC Centura, by your Carolina Chrysler dealers, by Sonic Drive-Ins, by Charles Schwab, by Q Motor Oil, and by Red Lobster.
An amazing amount of hardware can be found 8 miles apart from Chapel Hill to Durham, North Carolina. We welcome you to the second half. Tim Brando, Billy Packer. Duke started the game 9 of 12 from the floor, cooled to 4 of 19 after that, and yet maintained a 5-point lead at the break.
Zubek down in there in that starting lineup again, making Hansbrough really work.
Same starting fives for both teams as we open. Paulus pierces a double team and a floater. Oh, how pure was Paulus there?
Hansbrough not a big shot blocker, second time today. But tonight, the Wright has been able to go the length of the floor for an easy dunk.
When the floor is not balanced, Mike Krzyzewski is a little upset, and it wasn't that time. Zubek backs in over Hansbrough. Wave it off.
That's got to be an offensive foul.
They're going to call traveling prior to the foul. He did dip that shoulder, which usually means offensive foul, player control.
My question here, Tim, is where are the other 2 officials, particularly the one under the basket? No question. That was a foul. I think it was kind to give him a walk.
Lawson, a jump stop, and doesn't get it to go. Hansbrough, very active. Out of bounds, it belongs to Duke.
I tell you, McClure gives up his body often, doesn't he? It was really something when he got hurt in that BC game. You hated to see him out because he's worked so hard to be able to play. But he just throws his body into the action, gives up size all the time. He got hit in the knee right there.
That's right. And they were so concerned because of his history.
That was with Terry, knee to knee, just on an accident.
So severe was that knee injury that he missed all of a season. Zubek leaves, McRoberts comes back in. And they were very concerned in that Boston College game when he went down. It turned out to be simply a tweak, something that was very painful at the time, but that he could deal with. Roberts lost. Henderson fine shot.
Are you going to give him an assist on that one?
Yeah. There's your go-to guy. Henderson.
Look at that breakout.
What a blow.
About that speed that Henderson showed.
It was as if he was shot out of a cannon.
And what this does, it sets the stage that Duke is not going to play slow ball in the second half.
Right. Nice move with the left hand in the lane.
I thought they might come out and try to tempo this game a little bit. But they're going to go full out.
McClure is left free. Off the front iron. McRoberts gets the rebound. Very adept passer. Finds McClure as he's hitting the deck. That foul is on Terry.
Terry had fallen to the floor, and then he goes and tries to trip McClure, is left wide open. How about Henderson? He just blew right by Wright and everybody else. Wright kind of jogging. That was not good effort by Wright. He's got long enough arms to chase him down and block that shot.
You know, Billy, I always go back when I think of teams that you feel like matchup-wise need the tempo of the game, slow it down a bit. I think a little bit of the first half that Jimmy Valvano played against Houston that year in the '83 title game as McRoberts goes in. He went right after them early.
That was exactly the same out-of-bounds play that just didn't work for them in that Florida State game.
And then Nelson had a point-blank tip-in that didn't go. Ellington on the wing over Shield.
Hansbrough can't do anything from a rebounding standpoint. Getting frustrated. Duke doing a terrific job on him.
Got a Band-Aid on his forehead. May need a gauze bandage by the end of this game because there have been a lot of bumps and bruises. You look at the numbers on Hansbrough. Billy, I think it's interesting. Earlier in the year, he was playing maybe 5 to 6 minutes less per game. As the season prolongs, we're getting to see more playing time from Hansbrough from game to game.
Last year, Duke was #1 in the country when they played here on this floor. Hansbrough, 27 points, 10 rebounds. Tonight does not have his first rebound.
Lawson. Stevenson off the window, not there. Pulled down by McRoberts. Deion Thompson on the floor, taking that one. He and Stevenson have not played as many minutes tonight as they would normally play. There's a steal by Lawson.
Misjudged Lawson's quickness, did McRoberts.
Basket by Ty
6 in the game. For Lawson, it's 48-40 Duke. Just over 3 minutes gone here in the second half. Nelson just challenging North Carolina. And they're allowing the baseline to the Blue Devils. North Carolina's perimeter defense, Billy, coming in the last 2 games, it's not been that good, and that was a strength for Roy Williams' team all season long, and that's a blocking foul against John Shire.
fouls on John Shire.
There was McRoberts thinking he had enough room, but Lawson has such great foot speed that he just tracked that one down. And here's Nelson, a screen, and look at Wright. Really lackadaisical on the defensive end of the floor right there. You know, Nelson is the kind of guy that wants to finish. You've got to go up strong defensively to stop him. Wright did not. Young man, 5 times Rookie of the Week. Leads all ACC freshmen in that department. Remember last year, Hansbrough had 10 ACC Rookie, and eventually was Rookie of the Year, obviously.
Terry, Ginyard, and Fraser. You see coming up next Saturday. Other action here on Raycom and Lincoln Financial Sports. They'll be honoring a number of their teams, 57 and 1982 teams at North Carolina, which is something special. Anytime those great teams in the past, I think 82, I mean, you'd have to go a long way to find a more memorable starting 5 than that team.
Well, and you find a club in 57 with Lenny Rosenbluth and Tommy Kearns and that bunch. They lost one of their starters. Bob Cunningham passed away, but that was a great group of players in that tremendous win, 3 overtimes against Kansas for the 57 National Championship.
Everyone will remember that because the Big Dipper was playing for Kansas, Wilt Chamberlain. Paulus had that one deflected by Fraser. Gets it back, though. McClure keeping it alive. There's an example, Billy. He throws his body right into the fray.
Without question. Was the smallest of the 3 guys on that rebound attempt and still got it.
Sets the pick for Paulus. Almost lost his dribble.
What a pace this game's being played.
McClure has his pocket picked by Fraser. Nelson would not allow the easy bucket. Great hustle by number 21 in white. Pedal to the metal. On both sides of the triangle, they'll apply the gas.
Well, a leader tonight, Greg Paulus. He came off his career high in that Florida State loss. 23 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Really picked things up here tonight, leading his team early and often. Outstanding perimeter shooting.
Billy, when you talk to Mike Krzyzewski about his team this year, and you see Paulus and McRoberts Neither are typical at the position. If you ask the question and use the term overachieving, he doesn't like that. He won't allow himself to admit that this team might be in any way, shape, or fashion undermanned at any time. But I think tonight they are playing as well or better as they possibly could to have the lead that they do right now. And as you've said many times, they're playing a kind of game that North Carolina seemingly would be more comfortable with.
Denny, I would agree with that. How about the Paulus family? They've got a son today signed with North Carolina to play quarterback. What will it be like next year when they've got one at Carolina and one at Duke? Fortunately, they've been playing different sports.
That helps. Second chance coming for North Carolina after the offensive rebound.
Hansbrough has not been able to get the ball in scoring position in this ball game.
It's almost as if Zubek set the table for the way Duke would play against Hansbrough all night. McRoberts picks up that foul, his second.
McRoberts almost had a great defensive play there because Hansbrough was running out of room with that baseline.
Shire leaves the game. Henderson, McClure, Nelson, Paulus, and McRoberts for Duke. Deion Thompson, Hansbrough, Terry, Ginyard, and Bobby Fraser for North Carolina.
Duke stays. They were going to stay in that zone defense on the out of bounds. They switch back to man-to-man. Sometimes you get caught in that switch.
Hansbrough, nice look. Terry missed it from point-blank range, and Henderson had something to do with it. Paulus needs help. That's a carry. Had it on his hip. That's a good call. Gary Maxwell right on top of it. 13 turnovers now by the Devils.
Jimmy, let's see if you were on the money right here. Terry goes up. Henderson's behind him. I think what Henderson did got enough of the ball that forced the ball down into the rim too quickly. A misjudgment on a dunk because of a good defensive play.
Wes Miller in the game now for North Carolina. Number 22 dumps it down to Hansbrough.
That's where he wants it. That's where he likes it. 2 quick fouls on McRoberts. Does Mike Krzyzewski come back? That's his third. Does he come back with Zubek quickly to get McRoberts back on that bench for a while? This is a costly foul for Duke.
Yep. Join the Mania, ACC fans. You can win up to $100,000 plus hundreds of other great prizes. To enter Alltel's My Circle Mania sweepstakes, text HOOPS at 84353 or visit mycirclemania.com.
You have Hansbrough, number 1 in the ACC in regard to foul attempts. He attempts 8.2 per game. They said number 1 in the conference.
Coming into the game, he had gotten to the line 189 times, connecting on 142 of them. I mean, you just know the doubles are coming anytime he gets the ball with his back to the basket within 10 feet of the hoop.
Now Zubek is really going to be called upon now at the 14-minute mark to probably have to play a solid 6 minutes here.
Shire's double, and they walked with it. They induced the turnover. And Mike Krzyzewski's arguing that the ball was tipped.
I agree with Mike. He's saying he had the ball in his hands and he was bobbling, but I thought the ball was touched by the North Carolina defenders in the interim.
And you see now Duke has turned it over twice as many times as North Carolina. And yet, this lead of theirs has been at or around 7 most of the night. Another deflection leading to a turnover. Paulus feeds Zubek, gets the pick.
Nice hands by Henderson.
That's a mismatch against Fraser. Rejected by Green. McClure finds Paulus. And we've got a timeout. Gary Maxwell, I think maybe
it's 32 seconds still.
Shot clock did not continue to roll.
18.
Well, they may have reset it. That's what happened. They reset it after the block.
That probably helped North Carolina because Duke had themselves in a good position to get off a nice shot.
They reset the shot clock on the block, and they should not have done that.
Tim, when you look at halftime, the score of the game meant that Duke was probably going to end up with 78 points if you double it. North Carolina was 68. That's 20 below North Carolina's normal average and 10 above Duke's.
Yeah.
To show you how the pace of the game in the first half completely opposite of what we anticipated, particularly with Duke leading.
Roberts comes back onto the floor with 3 fouls.
Boy, big gamble right now. Mike Krzyzewski goes with 2 bigs. Will he go zone?
Shire wide open for 3.
How did that happen?
There have been many open looks on the perimeter for Duke.
As a Palm got away with it.
Hansbrough double. Shire gets the foul on the reach.
That's 4. Who's going to get that call? Schreier or McRoberts?
That's Shire, his second. And it is a break. It could have gone against McRoberts.
It could have been. Let's see if Duke stays and maybe goes a little zone here so that they don't get stuck with McRoberts picking up that 4th foul.
Billy, I've seen Duke a lot this year. I don't know that I've seen Zubek and McRoberts on the floor at the same time yet until now. Zubek lost that one. It was tipped by Terry, and Duke has it.
It's been since the Gonzaga game that I've seen Hansbrough this befuddled with the ball down in low. Gonzaga did a terrific job on him. Duke is as well.
Roberts feeds Zubek. Shire and Paulus seem to have a real rhythm going tonight, finding one another when they need to, particularly when the shot clock winds down.
Nice leadership by Paulus here, pulling the ball back out, trying to get some organization.
Roberts lost it. Frazier comes out of there with it. Numbers now. Frazier caught the basket. Always on a downward flight as Henderson knocked it away from the cylinder.
We've seen some athleticism from Henderson tonight. We talked about that breakaway drive that he made. Then that block on the dunk by Terry, and now we watch him go way up here. But without question, it is a goaltend.
Frazier also had a sore foot earlier this year. Cost him some playing time, but he's back. And so are the Tar Heels, down by 5.
Kupchak will make the long front-court pass. Gets it to Walter Davis. 2-1. Walter takes the shot. It's good! Unbelievable!
Walter Davis helped Tar Heels to victory, 96-92. In regulation, tied it on the Davis shot. Billy, that was your 3rd year doing ACC basketball.
And you know where I was when he made that shot? Right under the basket. You know what I was prepared to do? Interview Neil McGahee, winning coach at Duke University. I've been sitting down there for about 10 minutes because Duke was obviously going to win the game. And Jim Thacker and crew said, hey, get back upstairs. This one's going to overtime. I watched that entire 18 seconds from right under the basket. It was unbelievable.
Memories of Thacker and Packer in the day.
Good feed. McRoberts. Oh, tough loss there. McRoberts with terrific position, great feed, tough break.
That's number 3 on Hansbrough, Billy.
That was just a real good entry pass. McRoberts doing a terrific job getting Hansbrough on his hip. You got to make that shot, though, and you can see right there the frustration on behalf of McRoberts, who thought he had an easy basket. With Hansbrough, nothing's easy.
Do you sense that North Carolina got the message from Roy about defensive intensity in the second half? We've almost played 8 minutes here.
I think that is true, but I think in the case of the players, I don't think they came in with the right attitude at the start of this ball game. And it really cost them, and they've been in a hole ever since.
Terry left open for 3. That's an air ball. Contact underneath, Hansbrough and McRoberts.
Well, and there's the case, the battling of the bodies, and McRoberts picks up his 4th.
We'll see a lot more of Brian Zubek, it would appear. Although McRoberts is an intelligent player, could play with 4. Billy, the line on Hansbrough, 6 points, a rebound, 3 fouls, and a turnover.
A rebound, that's hard to believe, isn't it? There you see one of his baskets, but what you will see is body contact coming up. And there was that third foul on McRoberts. And there everybody's coming in. Very seldom you get that ball away from Hansbrough that easily.
Roberts is out of the game, having picked up his fourth moments ago. And here's Hansbrough working over Zubak. Well defended, and Hansbrough willed it in.
I thought that Mike Krzyzewski, I know he likes to play zone, likes to play man-to-man, and likes the tempo of the game, but I thought one way he could save McRoberts for a few minutes, because you're just trying to steal minutes, is maybe go a little bit of zone with the two big men. Didn't happen. Now he's just going to have to count on Zubak holding the ground here for maybe 6 minutes.
Well, John Shire ends what was a 5.5-minute scoring drought for Duke. Yet they retain a 5-point lead. I think that's the significant aspect, that they could go that long without scoring a field goal and maintain a lead against the magnificent Carriers. Fraser can't connect. We haven't heard much from Ellington's perimeter game. He's out of the game now. Ginyard, Terry, Hansbrough, and on the overplay, Zubak knocks it away.
Well, how many times Ginyard going to come up with the steal or the loose ball?
Miller drains the drain.
That's huge for North Carolina and for Miller. Last year, you can remember, constantly he'd be on the outside on the perimeter, left wide open. Nobody respected him. This year, he's been rushing his shot somewhat. Huge three.
52-50 Duke. There you see the three-point shooting story. After a scintillating start for Duke, they've cooled considerably. Earl Henderson is going to get into the game.
There we have McClure. Maybe another one of those knee-to-knee hits.
Yeah. Food Lion and Pepsi have teamed up again this year for the Sink One Score a Million sweepstakes. 3 contestants will win a trip to the ACC tournament in Tampa and a chance to take a half-court shot for $1 million. Visit foodline.com for more details.
Timmy, have Paulus or Schreier been out of the ball game yet tonight?
19 minutes in the first half for Shire, by far the most minutes played. He did get a quick blow just before a television timeout, but Paulus has played just less than that, and there is Shire doing the job defensively.
Terry not thinking. Roy Williams looks up in the sky. I don't blame you right there. Terry could have given the ball back. He's got 2 point guards out on the floor right now. Terry dribbling much too much. Huge turnover for North Carolina. Seniors should know better.
And you begin to wonder, too, if North Carolina gets a lead, how does that impact Duke? Because they have played so well, had that very quick start, 9 of their first 12 field goals. They've maintained a lead throughout this game.
Well, the reason I asked about that minutes played is for the simple reason, all of a sudden you start getting tired in a ball game like this, and then that jump shot goes.
Miller. Lawson, right past Thomas, and feeds it to Hansbrough. And he gets it over Zubak, and we're tied at 52.
North Carolina now has got them where they would like to have him. Mike Krzyzewski's got to steal minutes here and keep his team as fresh as possible with timeouts.
Well, how desperate is it? McRoberts with 4 fouls is at the scorer's table. He's going to get in on the next dead ball with 4 fouls. The time is now, and Krzyzewski knows it. See the run, 12-2 in the last 7:36. Paulus a fadeaway. Big bucket for Duke. 15 for Greg Paulus.
Good job by Paulus using the screen. Didn't turn the corner, but that jump shot of his is really steady.
Pick and roll. Hansbrough runs right into Shire. And that foul is a block against John, his third.
Maybe his third foul, but it's better a foul than go ahead. And here comes McRoberts. 8:54 to go in this ball game.
Well, he's a captain, and this is a lot to ask. Zubak sits down.
And who is he going to guard?
DeMarcus Nelson returns.
You know, they could go zone, or they could say, no, we're not going to put you on Hansbrough. Sure not going to guard Lawson, is he?
If he is, he's going to give him a lot of room, and he is. Lawson's going to blow by. Got a break that time, but Lawson got his own rebound.
Goes left-handed. Great job by McRoberts.
Really was on both occasions.
Wow. With 4 fouls, he made 3 outstanding defensive plays there.
Lawson finds Paulus.
That's a foul.
Gotta be. Lawson had him by the jersey. Second foul on Ty Lawson. How about the defense of Josh McRoberts?
There's one defensive play. Lawson gets it back. Another defensive play. And then a rebound. How about that sequence? Didn't start tonight. It often, Tim, is not who starts, who finishes.
Absolutely. Paulus again falling away. Halfway down the cylinder and out. Ginyard has Brandon Wright, Ellington, Green, and Lawson on the floor. There's Wright using the glass, and we're tied again at 54. North Carolina has tied this game twice. They have never led. Nelson attacks, finds Shire. That's the spot.
The young man in high school was known for coming up with big moments in big games.
Northbrook, Illinois. Same high school as Chris Collins. There's a takeaway and a timeout. Lance Thomas gets the job done and is greeted by everyone from the Duke bench. We'll return after this message from the University of North Carolina. Maintaining this lead, Billy, I think to the psyche of Duke is very important. Don't you, down the stretch?
Oh, absolutely. They've worked so hard to get themselves in this position. North Carolina just keeps coming in with fresher troops, and of course, not only fresher troops, you have McRoberts with those 4 fouls. Very important.
How influential are the freshmen? Shire with 22, Henderson with 10, Brandon Wright 15 to lead the way for the trio of Tar Heels. And John Shire, we've been waiting for a bit of a coming out party from him in big games and crucial moments. Tonight may be that night. There he is again. Foul.
He'll be shooting 3. Not what you want to do if you're Ellington. I believe he was behind a 3-point line.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. We will get a trifecta when we come back. Billy, let's take a look at our Chrysler game summary. You see the field goal shooting almost the same. Wright has certainly picked up his game in the second half for North Carolina, and the 2 freshmen, Shire and Wright, really carrying the load for both of their teams.
Shire had a 20-point game against NC State, but he has really picked it up here tonight. He's got 40 straight free throws that he's made. Goes to the line having been fouled in that 3-point attempt.
I was talking with Chris Collins, who of course had a lot to do with the recruitment of Shire. Played at the same high school as we mentioned in Northbrook, the son of Doug Collins. And I asked him about Shire and the unselfishness in his game and whether that was to his detriment from time to time. He said, well, he came to Duke with more of an all-floor game than most freshmen. Not just a scorer, though he's known as that.
Ooh, quick. That broke the streak. That was a little quick on his part, not his normal stroke.
But I do think that there is something to be said for Mike Krzyzewski's programs through the years, Billy, that most young talents have to wait their turn. This season with this team, maybe Shire needs to go ahead and take his turn.
Well, you know, Paulus' injury early required him to do a lot of other things, too. He almost had to not play that 2-guard position. He had to play misses 2 out of 3. Can you believe that?
Well, now 41 for his last 43. Terry all the way to the rack.
Nice no call by the official.
58-56.
Those were 2 big free throw misses right there.
Yeah, and
had a chance to really extend that lead.
I think the fans were already counting those 3. Shire being checked by Miller, waiting for the pick from McRoberts. Now they begin bleeding the clock a bit with this possession. Shot clock down to 8.
Ball in the hands of the right guy.
Nelson. Right.
Nelson is the one guy that can finish with his one-on-one. Huge possession for North Carolina.
They've never led. They've tied it twice.
Wright had position, still has position.
Over McClure. Gets the roll, and we're tied again.
Well, you're giving up an awful lot of space if you're McClure. McClure hit that knee again.
Yes, he did. It's just, I think the pain from re-injuring it in the game against Boston College is something he's going to have to deal with all season long.
And number 15.
Thomas and Henderson are going to come in for it. As you see the...
I tell you, is this effective but a quiet 17-point game so far by Wright?
It really is.
But it's a tough guy to stop right now if you're Duke, because McRoberts sure can't handle him with 4 fouls on him. Thomas, the freshman, hasn't proven yet he can guard somebody.
For the 3rd time, we're tied. And the Blue Devils, without having surrendered the lead, have another huge possession. Henderson, a runner. That was a big, sweet move by yet another freshman.
And did it against Terry, North Carolina's best defender.
Lawson, the answer.
Ty Lawson.
I bet you the Duke players are saying, boy, this has been a long game, because they have really left it out on the floor here tonight with this pace.
This is a program not accustomed to losing 3 in a row. Last time they lost 2 in a row coming into this game way back in '89, 18 years ago. They come out spitting vinegar after they lose 2 to anyone.
Well, they've won 16 of the last 20 against North Carolina.
Carlos missed everything. Put a dent in the backboard.
And they're still coming.
Terry.
There's Henderson, another goaltend.
And North Carolina gets their first lead on the goaltending call with 5:15 remaining.
Number 21, DeMarcus Nelson, back in the lineup for Blue Devils. Number 14, Danny Green.
Easy call to make. Danny Green comes back onto the floor for North Carolina. Wes Miller, Bobby Fraser leads. Ty Lawson checks out.
Much fresher bodies on the floor for the team in light blue right now.
Vintage Roy Williams, you talk about winning with a system. You see the fast break points. North Carolina doubling up on Duke. This is at the pace of play that you talked about early. Could be paying dividends for North Carolina late. A runner by Henderson, too strong. Green clears it for North Carolina.
But you know how fresh Green was going up for that rebound.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, you've got fresh bodies out there playing against guys that are very, very tired.
Let's take a look at our Q Motor Oil Power 25, Billy. North Carolina number 5, Duke 16. So many teams, when you think about it, outside the top 25, just outside. You're talking about, obviously, Virginia, Boston College. BC had some tough losses in non-conference games early in the season. And boy, have they rebounded well in conference play, especially those 2 schools. Wright on the baseline over McRoberts, who's playing with 4. Largest lead for North Carolina.
Aggressive move by Wright. McRoberts with the 4 fouls just can't go after him.
10-2 scoring run for the Tar Heels. Nelson rejected, but fouled. It'll go against Danny Green.
Green should have realized that he had the shot blocker coming over to help him out and just held his ground.
DeMarcus Nelson shooting for Blue Devils.
You know, it's interesting when you think of these great teams. There were streaks. When Dean Smith came to North Carolina, a guy named Vic Bubas was coaching at Duke. He beats him 7-0 the first 7 games they play. Then, of course, Smith, he goes 16-1 against the likes of Bucky Waters and Neil McGahee and Bill Foster. Then Smith against Coach K. He goes 8-1 against Coach K. And so then you have Coach K with this tremendous run that he has had. It is just unbelievable how this series has progressed over the years.
When you think about that record against Foster, he once took a team to the national championship game in 1978. Yep. G-Man and Jim Spanarkel, Kenny Denard.
And Mike Krzyzewski had a streak of 15-2.
Yep.
Nice dish.
Hansbrough staying with it. That was deflected off Tyler, and it belongs to Duke.
DeMarcus Nelson, how about that? Look at this play by Nelson. Unbelievable. Going up against the taller, stronger player and still making the play. And and stopping what would have been an easy 2, extending that North Carolina lead.
Paulus, McRoberts, Nelson, Shire, and Henderson. There's the backdoor cut by Henderson. What an adjustment! What an adjustment by Henderson! He could have gotten a player control foul, and he had tremendous vision to stay away from that foul. Fraser. Nelson with numbers, has Shire and Henderson with him. Takes it himself, and he's fouled.
They are running on fumes, our Duke, right now, but they've got a lot of fumes left, it looks like.
Teetering near E, but watch Henderson in the open floor. Absolutely amazing, Billy, right there.
Great backdoor cut, and then readjusts on the jump shot.
That one is no good. They battle for it. Loose ball. Recovered. Marvin. He scores. 17 seconds left.
Marvin Williams got the game winner, Billy, but Sean May was just unstoppable that game. 26 points, 24 rebounds in 2005.
Of course, that young man didn't do a bad job in the Final Four.
No, he did not. Nelson ending up empty at the line. These are very important free throws, and you pointed to the fatigue factor for Duke. And again, North Carolina 2 for 8 for Duke in the second half, and you wonder sometimes if that's not by way of being tired and taking those free tosses.
This is a pair, so wow. 2 out of 3 by Shire and 2 out of 2 by Nelson. Really hurts.
And 2 out of 10 in the second half at the stripe for the Blue Devils, and they still trail by 1. 3.5 remaining here at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Tim Brando, Billy Packer. Happy to have you with us.
Set play trying to get the ball down inside, and Duke.
Hansbrough. Right over McRoberts, who's been playing with 4 for the last 10 minutes.
Well, I thought we might see some zone just to steal time, but Mike Krzyzewski decided to stay with the man-to-man because of the aggressive play of his team. Much better reaction by North Carolina. Remember, in the first half, that kind of pass led to a wide-open 3.
Shire on the pick and pop.
He's tired. Yep. He's tired. He's not elevating with those feet anymore.
He had a chance to pass it up to McRoberts, chose not to. Terry walked.
That's 2 turnovers by Terry, totally unforced. Really hurt his ball club there. Got to be thinking better than that.
Well, Roy Williams got the attention of his team after a sloppy start on the defensive end of the floor. Raised their intensity. But sometimes when you play so hard on one end, you forget your focus on the other. That was an unforced error by the veteran Rayshon Terry.
It's going to be a hold.
Yep, Shire lost the handle and then picked up the foul as 4.
Good defensive job by Miller. A very much underrated defense. Last year I thought, well, this guy is going to be in tough shape when he has to guard somebody. But the more you watched him, the more you respected what he could do defensively. And tonight he is sitting down doing a stellar job. And once again gets in the passing lane.
When you think about it, Billy, this is the classic student-athlete story. From walk-on to productive player. Gives up his scholarship so they can go after so much more talent, and yet he delivers the goods when necessary. There was a time last season when North Carolina really got a lot of impetus from the play of Wes Miller. He was a leader for this team.
And there was a case where Terry knocked the ball out of Hansbrough's. Hansbrough's bleeding again, I think.
Yes, he is. Roberts has Hansbrough on his hip. No double. He'll take it himself. Not there. A lot of empty trips for Duke.
Well, you get tired players try to take shots that aren't in their repertoire instead of giving it up. Hansbrough, I guess, has lost the contact lens. Yeah. I thought he
Well, he was
had some blood, but he lost the contact one.
He was wiping the brow where the Band-Aid was located from the cut earlier. This has happened to Tyler a few times this year. I think they did find it.
I'll tell you, there's a pretty good manager right there.
Go to the painted area.
That's right. He found it. Hansbrough's thinking it must be cracked.
2:07 remaining here at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Tim Brando, Billy Packer, and you know, this is we've talked about it many times. This is for a lot of fans of the sport of college basketball. The season really begins for them when these two teams play the first time. It just excites everyone. I've oftentimes said we know people love basketball in this part of the country, but Billy, this is a game that commands attention from Des Moines, Iowa to Minot, North Dakota. People want to know what's happening in this matchup in early February.
Well, one of the things I want to also say in this ball game tonight, I think that the Duke fans will always get a lot of credit for their ingenuity. I think tonight they've showed tremendous sportsmanship.
Yes,
they've been loud. They've been rooting for their team. It's all been about their team and not a negative about the opponent. And it certainly has helped their ball club.
Blue Devils had the lead for better than 30 minutes of this game. Paulus counted in a foul. That goes Lawson right past Paulus, and he picks up the personal foul.
Now, what jumps out at me, Tim, right now is that Duke is a very tired ball club. North Carolina with explosive speed. Look at Paulus. It goes right by him without any trouble. What amazes me is what I think about North Carolina State hanging in there and beating North Carolina. North Carolina State has 4 starters this year that are in the top 7 of minutes played in the entire league, and yet they were not exhausted in their win. I don't know how they did it, but without question, this has taken a lot out of this Duke team in this last 4 or 5 minutes.
Paulus in traffic. Takes it in himself. Miller kept that one alive for Lawson.
Carolina gets all loose balls now.
Has not been textbook, but the Heels, after taking a number of body blows from an inspired Blue Devils team, have utilized every bit that they have in their arsenal to be the superior team down the stretch run. And the free throw line at the end of this one, Billy, will be telling in the game's outcome. Martinez Kotsus checking in for Gerald Henderson.
Now, another thing, Tim, and I'm not saying this game is over at all, but now you have to start thinking, if you're Duke, where you're going from here in terms of league play, and also from the terms of potential NCAA tournament seed. I mean, not that they'll be in the NCAA tournament, obviously, but not up in that 1 and 2 seed that they're accustomed to.
We mentioned the road, 5 of the next 7 on the road. They shot. Nice. Yes, and a foul. Yeah, I'd say it's not over. John Shire doesn't believe that it is. He'll get to the stripe.
And this comeback was really helped when Schreier went to the line the last time and missed 2 out of 3 when he had been fouled taking a 3-point shot. Terrific play on his part there, staying on the ground, getting Lawson up in the air.
See the free throw shooting story in the second half. That is telling. Old-fashioned 3-point play for Shire. Duke will play at College Park against a Maryland team that really is desperate for a victory in league play on Sunday.
Duke will be spending most of the rest of the ACC on the road, yes.
10 on the shot clock. Lawson blows past Nelson. What a move! Oh, off to the offhand, 72-66. He has 13. Shire again. McRoberts to follow. McRoberts again.
Great hustle by McRoberts. With the 4 fouls, being tired, still hustles.
Timeout, Blue Devils. 37.3 remaining. How about this whirling dervish?
Well, this is what he did to Arizona. He would just drive into the middle of their defense and create a shot.
And then McRoberts just keeping it alive on the iron. Well, timeout on the floor. And as the teams discuss strategy, Billy, you should too. Get someone to talk with you, not at you. Talk to Chuck Charles Schwab. What about the Devils? And you start fouling immediately now, or no?
I think it depends on what happens with this possession. 37. If they're still at 4, I think you got to start thinking fouls.
Yeah. Duke has 1 timeout remaining. North Carolina with 4 as you look at our game reset. Of course, the Tar Heels do not want to stop that clock.
Well, you got a 2-possession situation here, and that's why I say, you can't let them occupy this clock.
Yeah, if you're going to extend the game, we'll find out on the inbounds.
I think they foul on the inbounds. They couldn't get to it. Could not get to it. They're trying to foul. The refs aren't calling it.
Finally, they get the foul. I believe Paulus.
Hansbrough will go to the line.
Shire got the foul rather than Paulus, and that is number 5 on John Shire. So he's done with 30.3 remaining.
I'll tell you, he will go to this locker room. I talked about players. What they want to do is look in that mirror and say, did I put everything on the floor I could for my team? And that young man certainly can say that.
Averaging 11.7 coming in, got 26 tonight, and that's a career high. Billy, in the future, no one ever knows how outstanding a player might be, particularly when they come in as freshmen. But I'm not comparing him to Reddick or anything. I just believe this kid's got a bright future as a go-to guy outside.
Well, I think one of the things you'll see him is get stronger because he athletically will have to do that. But as Reddick did that, Reddick is a guy that really improved his ability to play minutes at a full speed. This young man has got a young man's body. And as he gets older, matures more, and gets stronger, certainly going to make him a better all-around player.
Our Pepsi players of the game, fellow freshman Brandon Wright, 19 on 9 of 12 shooting, 9 rebounds. At a point when North Carolina made their run to get this lead, he was the heel that made the most difference. 5 of 5 field goals in the second half. Truly outstanding for Brandon Wright. Hansbrough gets the first free throw. Timeout, North Carolina. Blue Devils trail by 6, 30.3 remaining. These two teams will play in the season finale in March over in Chapel Hill.
ACC basketball has been brought to you by Bud Light, by your Carolina Jeep dealers, by Alltel, by Food Lion, by Pepsi, and by Geico.
Concerned Cameron Crazies with a 2-possession game, down 6, 30.3 left.
Tim, I was talking about this schedule for Duke. They have at Maryland, as you mentioned, coming up this weekend, at BC, at Clemson, at North Carolina. The only games they have at home are Georgia Tech and Maryland. They have St. John's in New York in the Garden, not the game that it was at one time.
Paulus leaves it for Nelson.
North Carolina, you don't want to foul here.
And on a run out, Ginyard's got it. Berkshire picks up the foul. Nicely done with 20.7 remaining.
McRoberts wanted the timeout. The referee did not give it to him, allowed North Carolina to get the ball in bounds.
Red Lobster presents the nothing but net shot of the game, and I think you'd agree. This is Ty Lawson's moment. In fact, a couple of moments.
Well, that was the right-hand layup. Now let me show you the left-hand layup.
It was at that point North Carolina took command of this game. Billy, in case you were wondering, 3 consecutive conference losses for Duke. The last time was 1996. 11 years since that happened. You see the story at the line in this half. Henderson gets the rebound. Duke needs to push.
They don't need a 3. They go to the basket, get 2. They still have time.
Hansbrough.
Whoa. There's a foul that would have to be intentional if it's on Hansbrough, because he didn't even have the ball. Watch this play right here. Hansbrough goes, he gets rid of the ball. Well, I guess you could call it instantaneous.
Yeah. Officials giving them the benefit of the doubt. This can sew it up at the line right here.
It takes it now into a situation where if he makes this one, you've got a 3-possession game. With 12 seconds to go, there have been some improbable finishes in this series, so you better not say anything, but that kind of sealed it.
Well, there were moments that Roy Williams had a few shock treatment timeouts, Billy. This game was a root canal for his club. They started poorly against a Duke team that really came out firing. I thought his team responded on the defensive end in this half.
Well, Tim, one of the things that's so amazing about college athletics now, freshmen are an integral part of good teams.
Yeah.
So Roy Williams has a history of what happens here. These freshmen, they've never been through this environment before.
Got to 500 faster than anyone in 19 seasons. Remarkable run against the Blue Devils. His record will improve. He's been on the losing side of the ledger more often than not. But time will tell. Mike Krzyzewski was actually looking to get to 500 in his career against North Carolina with a win tonight. We'll be 2 under 500 as Nelson hits the triple with 6.7 remaining.
That's why those free throws were so important.
Mike Krzyzewski was 31 and 32 all time against North Carolina coming into tonight's game. Looking to get even in his career as Nelson puts it down.
Well, you say that, okay? Where do you come up with that stat?
I had it.
Yeah, you have Mike.
31 and 30. Oh, excuse me.
Now,
North Carolina's, yeah.
That's Duke's stat. Now, if you've got Duke, you had him 31 and 30.
Well, you're right.
Okay.
Excuse
me. So now
Judge.
he's even faced if you're the Duke man.
May I take that to an appellate court?
Yeah, I think you're going to have to. But one thing about that, and on a serious note, if you're the NCAA, you have got to come down with a ruling.
I would agree.
If a coach is coaching and he starts the season and then he leaves, is it his season or the guy that takes over for him? I think that should be a rule that's implemented by the NCAA. Here we have two institutions right down the road in house and won't agree as to whether those were Mike's losses or whether they belong to Pete Cadet.
Let's talk about the freshmen again, Billy, and
so many of them. Wait a minute. You don't want to stick with that?
No, I'm with you.
Which way are you going?
I absolutely agree with you.
Take a point. Should those losses be against Mike Krzyzewski or not?
In my opinion, if I'm with it, I'd say so.
I think if you start the season as the head coach and you eventually come back as the coach the following season, I think that you got to take credit for the wins and the losses.
Yeah, the freshmen of influence in tonight's game all had their moments. And Paulus picks up the foul, quickly offers a hand to Lawson. That's his 5th, with 6.2 remaining. But I think again it goes back to it adds to the lore and the luster of the history of the game that North Carolina feels this way about the series and Duke feels that way about the series.
And the NCAA comes up with more rules and regulations about so many things that don't mean anything.
Yeah.
Why would they not step in this situation and say, hey, here's what the NCAA official rule?
Sure.
And it would make so much sense to me. There's Paulus going out, Mike Krzyzewski giving him a well-deserved pat. Tell you, so many of these kids put it all on the line tonight. Both teams.
Did they ever? Well, Billy, when the season schedule comes out, I must tell you, I'm as gratified to get the assignment of calling one Duke North Carolina game as any opportunity I have in this business. I mean, it's as special to me to be a part of this game as it would be to be one of 8 guys doing the first round of an NCAA tournament.
Well, when you look at the history of these two schools and the players that have played and the coaches that have coached there, it's just been a tremendous opportunity for fans to watch them go after each other.
North Carolina moves to 21-3, 7-2 in ACC play. Coach K's club moves to 5-5, losing for the third consecutive time, for the first time since 1996. They're 18-6 overall. For Billy Packer, Tim Brando, our entire Raycom and Lincoln Financial Sports crew, Tim Brando saying so long from Cameron Indoor Stadium in Durham, North Carolina.